Yeah, definitely reckon that's worth a second opinion. Richard Nunn, that colour is absolutely stunning. When you look at the colour close up, hopefully I've done all my colour matching. And anyway, I split the difference. And so I've done 3 now. I split the difference, so we'll see what happens. And I've also made up a go to general focus, a general manganese one. So it's a manganese chalk. So we've got the chalk, we got the manganese, and we got the manganese chalk. And oh look! Wow! Can you see? Hang on. Did you see that? You can actually see the bubbles were coming off. Without me even. Oh, do you see that? I haven't even flicked it yet. Now if I flick it, oh yes, so there's obviously a lot of activity going on there. Oh yes, so but with the copper here, dead as a door now. So I assume the organism has been killed off in there. Either that or it's killed off the actual, well we know that's not true because with the ammoniated one over there, that still puts up the bubbles and it's been putting up the bubbles for 3 months, so yeah. Oh yes, that's the point. Let's go back to this is spot colour. This is the eye opener. This is what this one in here. Put this away. The one with the meat. Remember that? Put the meat in the ammonia thing. So I'm going to do some more work on there. But can you see that? There's a slight. I don't know if you saw that as soon as I opened the door. There's a slight pinking in the water there. In other words, the organism is growing in there. In the ammonia, well, I assume it's ammonia. There's the ammonia gone. I suppose that's what we got to, hang on. See, there's the lump of meat, the blued meat in there. Oh, no, it's still there. So the organism is growing in the ammonia with the blued meat in the container. When was that done? With a bit of chalk in there too, on Friday the 27th of January. So, gives us hope, fellas. So there's actually copper in there, but even though it's attached to the blued meat. So is the meat acting like chalk in a way? Locking down the copper sort of thing, and so we did notice it did form the cuprate ammonium thing on the outside, definitely on the outside. The other thing, what's the backstory on the copper? That's what I was going to do in this clip. Okay, go to general focus. Mainly comes out of filiformis. With Drosophila filiformis, they always say in wintertime you get all this grey mould, which is, I think, Aspergillus nigra or something like that, botrytis and things like that on your Drosophila filiformis in the winter. Whereas in the wild, they don't, sort of thing. I'm thinking, well, what's going on there? And I'm mainly thinking because you need the copper there to grow the penicillium in the soil, because first you get the penicillium, then you get Generica australis, and of course the Generica australis is the mycorrhizae that's going to ensheathe those big, fat, long, deep red roots with red root hairs on them, sort of thing. But in order to get the Generica australis to grow, you've got to first grow the penicillium, and of course that can't grow without the copper. But why does the and you notice that penicillium, the most obvious place that it grows is on bread, mouldy bread, and of course that's a high sugar content. It also will grow on jam jars, which is a high sugar content. These plants are supposed to be glycophytes according to Stahl, so they have a high sugar content, but it's a reductive sugar, a bit like our reductive protein. So are they using the reductive power of their sugar in a way like we're using the reductive power of the egg protein to reduce things like the copper, turn it into a nice healthier green form? But then again, what's going on here? I mean, that does look sort of greenish, so why isn't it growing in there? But then again, we might find out, as I said, with the manganese in here, that's what they need, because the copper is taking out the manganese. Manganese takes out the zinc, and all these sort of interactions occur. But mainly the copper angle in peat, and why you get your seeds to germinate on peat and you get your cuttings to strike on peat. But at the moment I'm having great trouble germinating seeds and actually striking cuttings. I think that will change, and change for the better. Oh, gee, that's a nice one, isn't it? If he lands on that, I'm going to get a close-up of the monarch one. Gee, that's early, isn't it? because I've got some clips out on the Sniffer and Oily Rag. We filmed one of those. Bronze wing. Oh, that's a monarch. Probably that's the difference between a monarch and a bronze wing. Different time of year, different butterfly. But yeah. Anyway, so as I was saying, the reason I'm not getting any seed germination and striking is probably because the copper's not there, you see. But once we get the copper there, we'll grow the penicillium, and I think that's involved in, one, it protects the seeds and the seedlings from other noxious microbes and fungi and things like that by putting out antibiotics. So it also sets up the growth of Generica australis, which will also ensheathe the roots and protect the roots. You know, whether the penicillium grows at the time of year when it gets so cold that this organism sort of shies away and dies out, so it goes back to the roots and sort of lives in the roots where it's probably slightly warmer in the roots or something of the plant. And of course the Generica australis is ensheathing that, protecting the organism until the soils warm up, things like that. Again, that's why I think you have to get through the copper angle, and you've got to crack the copper barrier as well as the calcifuge barrier, and I think you have to crack the two together, and that's where you're going to get your big, fast, large, colourful growth, big fat roots with lovely crimson red root hairs, and you're not going to get any of that botrytis cum Aspergillus nigra problems on Filiformis during the winter. That's just going to be gone. No one's ever, I reckon after the revolution happens, that'll be it, you know, everyone will be growing Filiformis, and they'll never have that problem ever again because they'll have so much copper there. It's a protectorant in a way, sort of thing. So that's only if we can get through here. But so far, the colour is very similar. It could be a negative, fellas, but we might learn something a bit more from the like the manganese and the chalk, how much manganese, whether we've got too much manganese there. In other words, we've made the containers too acidic, and therefore the organism just can't grow because it's too acidic. As we're learning, see the difference here. Look at this one here, not growing, and hardly any bubbles, if at all. Whereas this one here, with the oxide, no bubbles, but it's growing. I think no bubbles? No bubbles at the moment anyway. But it definitely looks like it's actually growing in, whoa, it looks like it may even be going slowly down the container. So, you know, maybe you don't need your molybdenum at all. In other words, molybdenum is probably acting a bit like one of these iron, manganese, siderophile filled sort of things. But we'll get there slowly and we'll work it all out. Yeah, well, that's about it, I think, for this talk. That's the backstory on the copper. You know, why is, you know, copper is the highest micronutrient in peat, and yet you say you don't like copper. And I reckon they do actually require copper because you can't grow the penicillium. Oh, the other thing is Flory. You know, Flory was trying to grow penicillium. Penicillium will grow better with nickel. And when you put nickel and copper together, it will go even better, sort of thing. Because, you know, we learned that the nickel has this effect where it will actually will also react with ammonia, but it also will break the ammonia down. So that probably explains why penicillium is able to grow better, because it sort of gets rid of the alkalinity of the ammonia, but also allows it to have access to the nitrogen and also produce a reductive flammable gas. Whether the penicillium also needs a reductive flammable gas in the soil environment to grow better, don't know yet, but we're probably going to find out. So, you know, well, you know, you would think there would be, well, there isn't any gas coming off that one as far as we can see. So it's either totally quenched the reaction or something else is going on. But I suppose we're going to, as we sort through all this lot, we're going to find out. But it's going to be a slow process. But I'm still holding out hope, fellas. And from these ones here, I'll put some seeds and maybe a few cuttings down. We never know, might get a surprise. I mean, we got a surprise with that one. It's actually growing the zinc-loving moss, but I think it's more a case of zinc and manganese together. And as I said, this one, look at the deficiency on this one, you know. Yeah, deficiency on that one. I really, are we actually on spot cullen? No, we're not. There we go, spot cullen. Yeah, I really enjoy that deficiency. I mean, Aussies like negatives. We're even better on a negative if it's going to be a winner. Okay, so far, very interesting. It almost looks like you can actually see pinking in the sand there. Slight, very slight. And the poly on the top there seems to be settling down after about a week, so I reckon it will settle in there, fellas, and you may even be able to, you know, flush it out, get rid of it. But the edge here, I don't know if you can see this on the edge if I turn it round. Oh, we got some beetles there getting interested. Oh, is that you, Ringo? Okay. It's starting to